everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Inspired Cooking with Maddie. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss any recipes. This week I am making one of my favorite recipes that I made for the first time around Thanksgiving. I took it to my sister's house. It was a big hit and everyone wanted me to make it for Christmas, so I made it again. This is a butternut squash and ground turkey casserole. It is the perfect balance of sweet and savory, and it's a wonderful side dish or a main dish. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need some Pam cooking spray or oil, it's up to you. You're going to need an onion. You are going to need some ground cinnamon. You're going to need a can of Alfredo sauce, or if you want to make your own, that's fine. I get this at Aldi. Alfredo is typically a very high-fat food and a high-fat sauce, but I found this one at Aldi. I can type the name in the bottom, but it is Priano's, and they have different flavors. This one's 4-cheese Alfredo sauce, and since there's a lot of cheese in this dish, I figured it'd go perfect. It's only 4.5 grams of fat for a 1/4 cup, which is not bad for Alfredo sauce. You're going to use a can of that. You're going to need diced butternut squash. You can get a full butternut squash, do it yourself, but I know that Aldi has it already chopped. This one I got at Giant Eagle just because I wasn't near Aldi and just needed a couple of things. So diced butternut squash, and you're going to need a pound of, you can use ground chicken, you can use ground turkey. I'm using 99% fat-free ground turkey from Giant Eagle, but you can get it at Aldi, you can get it anywhere they're having a sale. And then you're going to need some shredded cheese. I use a little bit of mild cheddar and a little bit of mozzarella, about a 1/2 cup of each. And you're gonna need I use a throwaway pan because you can use this to to roast the squash, and you can use it for the entire casserole. So I'm using this. What you're gonna wanna do first is you're gonna wanna preheat your oven to 400, and that is going to let us roast the squash beforehand. So if it is, chunked up, very big, this one was, I decided to make it even smaller. It cooks a little bit quicker that way, and I like my butternut squash a little bit smaller chopped. So I'm going to pour this in here, and spray it with Pam spray. And I just sprinkle it with cinnamon. If you want it to not be sweet at all, you can omit the cinnamon, but it's one of my favorite parts. So I just sprinkle it with a little bit of cinnamon. I don't even measure it out. I just sprinkle it. And I'm gonna pop this in the oven for about 20 minutes. And then while that is cooking and roasting in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and cook the ground turkey and put onion in with that. So I'm going to get this started up. Spray this with some Pam spray as well, especially the lower fat meat. You definitely need some oil or some Pam spray so that it doesn't stick. And with this being such low fat ground turkey, it can burn easily. So I'm gonna plop that in there. And then I'm gonna dice my onion. I use a whole small onion. You guys will learn really quickly that I put onion in everything. Onion and cheese. But for anyone who is lactose intolerant, you can leave out the cheese. You can also get like dairy-free cheese. They have vegan cheese, but I eat a lot of cheese. Sometimes too with my cheese, I will get the reduced fat, so it's not such high fat, but also in my other videos, I don't think I mentioned, I am a runner. I run anywhere from 9 to 16 miles a week. So I need the extra fat on days that I don't run. I just eat a little less carbs and a little less fat. So I'm going to dice these up nice and small. Once I get these diced up, I'm just going to put them in a bowl off to the side and stir my ground turkey. I know I've mentioned this before. I have a serrated spatula, and it works amazing when you're cooking. So flip it and cut it up like this. I got it at Marshall's. It was probably like $4. Continue to let that saute. Once the meat is about halfway done, you are going to want to add the onion so that the flavor of the onion sautés into it. Some people put a little bit of extra garlic in this. I don't. I think it takes away from the sweet and savory with the cinnamon that's on the butternut squash. But you can really make it your own, and that's exactly how I came up with this recipe. I feel like ground turkey cooks a little bit quicker than ground beef for some reason. Also, if you're not used to cooking with ground turkey or ground chicken, don't be alarmed when it turns white, and that's how you know that it's done. It starts out like a light pink color, and like a salmon color, and it turns white as it gets more done. So once it's about halfway done, I add the onion. And just kind of continue chopping it up. The meat. And stirring it, because like I said, ground turkey and ground chicken can burn more easily, especially the leaner that the meat is. If you're using like a ground beef and it's like 80-85%, it doesn't burn because there's so much extra fat and grease in it. So I continue doing this until I see absolutely no more pink. Honestly, if there's a tiny bit of pink in it, it's probably okay because you're going to bake all of this once the butternut squash is done roasting. So you just continue. And it's almost done. Once this is done, I usually put it in a bowl, wait for the butternut squash to be done roasting, and you will find very quickly in my videos, I like to clean up as I go. So it gives me like an extra 5-10 minutes that I can go ahead and do up the dishes that I've dirtied while the butternut squash is finishing roasting. I'm slightly OCD with cleaning and getting things cleaned up as I go. Once this is all white, I will just turn this off. Because you're gonna bake this at 350, so if there's any of the ground turkey, ground chicken, ground beef that's slightly not done, it will get done when you bake it in the oven. So I'm gonna turn this off and do dishes while I wait for the squash to roast. Okay, so once the butternut squash and cinnamon is roasted, it was about 20-25 minutes on 400. You wanna kick the oven down to 350. And all you're going to do is add your ground turkey and your onions on top. I'm gonna mix it up. And then what you're gonna do is add your Alfredo sauce. I use the whole can. And mix this up. And then I use between a half cup and 3/4 cup of each kind of cheese. I get this at Aldi. This is a very large bag, but I use mozzarella and mild cheddar. And I just sprinkle this on top. And then all I'm gonna do is pop this in the oven on 350 until the cheese is melted, about 20 minutes on 350. And so we'll pop it in the oven. So once it comes out of the oven, this is what it looks like. It is so delicious and so filling. The ground turkey really helps to add protein, and the cheese also adds protein, and it is just absolutely delicious. So this cooked in the oven for 20 minutes on 350. And if you like the cheese a little bit crispier, you can leave it longer. But it is so delicious and so good. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Inspired Cooking with Maddie. I can't wait to cook with you again soon.